So our final speaker before lunch is a friend, and then I'm going to read the rest of the bio as well. So Shafi Ahmed is going to be speaking about AI and the transformation of surgery. So Shafi is a multi-award-winning cancer surgeon who's been given the accolade of the world's most watched surgeon, has streamed live operations using Google Glass, virtual reality, social media, and on national television on Operation Live, which was shortlisted for a BAFTA award in 2019. He was also nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2020 for his humanitarian work and global surgery education. It's pretty cool to be able to call Shafi your friend after a bio like that. So please put your hands together whilst we introduce Shafi's avatar, and we'll take it from there. Round of applause.
Hello everyone at Intelligent Health, here in the delightful city of Basel. I am Professor Shafi's avatar, created by artificial intelligence. I know, I look like an evil character from Pixar, which was the actual prompt that created me. The first surgical operation was carried out in the Neolithic period around 5000 BC, involving making holes in the skull. Surgery has been analog since then, based on clinical acumen, judgment, and operative ability. Recently, however, surgery has become digital and now AI-enabled. Let's explore this future together.
Thank you so much, Maxine, for the kind intro and for Intelligent Health inviting me here to Basel for my first trip to this wonderful city, of course. So look, I think the world is changing rapidly, as you've seen from the discussion this morning. Let's go back a few decades or centuries. Charles Darwin talked about the slow evolution, a slow path, trajectory of mankind and other species. That was true until 1972, when Stephen Gould from Harvard talked about punctuated equilibrium, where society moves slowly, and suddenly something changes radically in a moment, transforming our lives. So what happened on November the 30th, 2022? Anybody know? Where were you on that day? Launch your ChatGPT. You should all know, what was I doing on that day that was a punctuated equilibrium, changed our whole lives in one day? You all remember where you were on 9/11? Yes? So November 30th, 2020, remember that. And this is what's going to happen as we go forward. Now, what does my life look like as a surgeon? I've been a surgeon now for 30 years. And actually, my life will change over the next 5 or 10 years. I work with Vodafone and Deloitte as the ambassador of 5G Connect Health across Europe. So we put something together to say, look, what could my career going forward look like on a day-to-day basis? Imagine a world of 5G-enabled technologies, the Internet of Things, connectivity, sensors, wearables, the type of things we're all talking about now that didn't exist a decade ago. Smart hospitals, smart homes, connected devices, virtual reality, augmented reality, change the way we behave and communicate with our patients. Now, relates to 5G, replace it with AI. We'll see where we're heading towards. But we talked about the convergence earlier. I think Roland spoke about it this morning. And the other C word, of course, is collaboration. We're seeing technologies coming together. AI isn't working on its own. It's working with devices, with imaging, in surgery, we'll discuss in a moment. So it's an amazing time to be alive in the world of medicine. digital health has been a kind of concept of the last decade or so, but more recently, a new term has come to being, and that's called digital surgery. What does it mean? This is my kind of understanding of what it means. It's connected surgeons, surgical devices, robots, for example, the whole world of extended reality, data, AI-driven pathways and outcomes, and of course, robots and this remote collaboration that's been quite interesting over the last few years. We've seen the devices being around for some time. VR is not new, of course. We've seen new head devices coming out, and they are very attractive now, being seamless, not tethered to a computer, very powerful computers on your head. And we use that for remote collaboration. So I've been working on remote training for the last 10 years. Back in 2014, I used Google Glass to transmit live operation across the world. Who remembers Google Glass? A long time ago, 10 years ago almost, right? That going forward with AI-enabled systems to allow you to navigate through a surgical operation, 5G connectivity with this fast speed of 2-3 gigabytes per second and a low latency of 0.1 millisecond allows you to do live operations now. And this was during COVID, doing live operations across the world using AI-enabled glasses, smart glasses, and training remotely across the world. And my operation has been watched by millions of people around the world, connecting people using the power of connectivity. And so this is an example we did in Dubai earlier this year. Did a live operation from Belgium to Middle East in Dubai, connected through a smart glass using AI-enabled technology. It makes it so simple. Technology should be straightforward. It should be cheap, affordable, reliable, and accessible to democratize healthcare and education around the world. It has to be, otherwise it doesn't work for us. And so when we talk about training, we're now looking at immersive technology, including AI capabilities, to train the future surgeons of tomorrow. Whether it's orthopedic surgery here, for example, train, simulate, get some feedback to understand performance. Surgery has always been analog. We judge our performance as surgeons on outcomes based on crude metrics, mortality and morbidity, not really how you perform, or how much time it's taken, or your expertise during the operation, hand movements, for example. We'll now see much more AI-driven performance metrics as we go forward. Of course, the Apple Vision Pro was launched in June of this year, coming out in Q1. That's going to revolutionize spatial computing. In fact, yesterday, at the Apple launch of Apple 15, the iOS 15, the Apple Watch and things, they mentioned spatial computing 5 times in the Tim Cook's presentation. Spatial computing is coming in. It's going to change the way we interact with the world that we live in. So think about that as we go forward, and the Vision Pro will lead the way. One of the things we can do is understand surgery better. Can we navigate during an operation, whether you're doing spinal surgery, orthopedic surgery, actually putting MRI images or CT scans over the patient to allow you to be much more precise in what you're navigating through. So AI navigation tools are coming in, allowing us to be much more precise and doing surgery. What in real time during the operation, as a liver surgeon, I had to take a liver tumor out. I could actually get the images in, see where the blood vessels are feeding to that tumor, avoiding important structures, and taking the tumor out in its entirety. It's only a step away where we'll have these aids and AI to help in surgery navigating. Normally, it's just by a feel, touch, and a judgment that you get from experience. We're also seeing these amazing technologies that allow you to do flow using AI, using smart glasses. This is a company from the US by Rob Masson, who's looking at, during the operation, can you bring all the information into your headset to navigate through the team, using AI interfaces to allow you to navigate through a surgical operation using smart screens during the surgery. So that's exciting. Computer vision, AI, AR, VR. Remember, it's collaboration. It's not one technology. It's a multitude coming together. And it's very exciting, very sci-fi kind of experiences. What about that future we talked about? We heard last year. This year, the words on the ground is AI. Last year, it was the metaverse. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of Facebook to Meta because they think, what's the future? Actually, one of the things we're doing, I run a number of companies. One of them is AI Medis. We work with a number of companies building the world's first healthcare metaverse. Remember, Web3 is exciting. We're now in Web2, a centralized platform. Web3 promises much more decentralization, using blockchain technology, AI, cryptocurrency as a tokenization, and both holograms, avatars, and NFTs as a data point. We're working with a number of companies saying, how does that work in healthcare? And we built the world's first healthcare metaverse based on Web3. Oh, is that video playing? Yeah. So imagine a new world, the virtual world, where you can interact with avatars, patients, have digital twins with their data presented in front of you, the biometric data, interacting in real life time, deciding on treatment pathways, looking at 3D models. And we're building worlds for different companies to be built into the metaverse. Our token's been out for 18 months, the IMX token, to see how can we use tokens to allow us to take work, make it work financially, etc. How does that work with normal currencies? So we're building this whole new world that you should all be part of, and feel free to join us. We work with a number of organizations to build that metaverse for people. For pharma, we're working with pharma to look at NFT and data marketplace to make it much more powerful, and so patients have ownership using the NFT marketplace of their own data and sharing it accordingly. A remote collaboration platform so you can actually interact with other healthcare workers. So that's AI medicine. Please look at it. So I've done a lot of virtual training, and in fact, during the COVID, I took the first selection of my medical school in my own metaverse. This is my own university in the metaverse. I'll be now having all my phone calls, my meetings. In my auditorium, you have my meetings with me as your avatar, ChatGPT enabled. Suddenly, it's a new conversation that we're building in the metaverse. So come and join me. If you want to call with me in a few months' time, it won't be me here, it will be in my metaverse. So do reach out to me to experience that as we go forward. We know AI has been powerful for diagnostics, for MRI, CTs, pathology, retinal scans, etc. It's been very powerful, of course. And we mentioned this morning, Roland Rott from GE talked about ultrasound being enabled with AI in the future. It makes sense. Democratizing diagnostics across the world, or people simply don't have access to those diagnostics. It kind of makes sense to me. This is interesting. Have a look at this. This is AI colonoscopy. See if you can spot the polyp in that colon. If you can spot it, put your hands up. You can't spot it, of course, right? But AI has picked up that small polyp that your eye can't see. That polyp in 5 or 10 years would become a cancer. I'm a colorectal surgeon. I'm a cancer surgeon. So that would avoid major surgery and major further outcomes or problems for the patient. Now we've been aided in our own world. I did this 4 or 5 years ago. If you look at the top left, this is the pathway for diagnosis. The chatbot using AI, initial diagnosis, triage. Say, for example, you have hemoptysis, coughing up blood, top left. Go for a CT scan, AI-enabled immediate diagnosis. Then you go for a biopsy. There's AI-driven robotic to allow you to navigate through the lung to find the right part to go and biopsy. Surgery, take out the lung, is done by robotic surgery remotely using 5G and AI technology, and pathology reported using AI. That's what I did 5 years ago, predicted this is where we're heading towards. At some point, I think it might happen. So AI is going to be very much part and parcel of that entire pathway as we go forward. Now, of course, we'll talk about autonomous driving, driverless cars. And that tells a lot about the way our society is going forward. AI, autonomous driving is actually really important. It teaches us about ethics, about if things go wrong, what happens, who's liable. And actually, when I look at this, I have a Tesla at home, like a lot of other people, and it drives itself, and it's quite amazing how it navigates through the world. What about if we had that same technology in surgery? This is surgical training, allowing people to train in laparoscopic surgery using AI, looking at performance metrics. Suddenly, it's not subjective. It becomes an objective measurement of competence, which has been missing for surgery for many, many, many years. What about during the operation? This is the cholecystectomy, the gallbladder being removed. One of the key structures that we worry about is a cystic duct and artery. If you divide the wrong structure, it's bad news. So this is allowing us to navigate using computer vision, looking at what areas we should avoid, where the structure might be important, helping us during the operation, allowing us to reduce morbidity and, of course, mortality. Suddenly, surgery becomes more enabled. What if we replace the surgeon entirely? What if we had a robot doing the operation? You wouldn't think it was possible, right? Here's the world's first autonomous robot doing a joining of two bowels together called anastomosis. Did it as good as the surgeon. Also, the apposition was great with less leak rates. So we're seeing the boundaries being pushed again and again in the world of surgery. Of course, that means we have much more data to work with. What do we do with it? We've got to figure it out, I guess. In the OR now, this is the work from Stanford and Canada, where they use an OR black box. All the data from the OR, the laparoscopic stack, the machines from the anesthetic machine, the video of the whole team working is then brought into a black box. Then, if things go wrong, you can analyze the data as like an airplane crash, and then go back to what might have changed as we go forward. But now we're seeing command centers. This is actually GE Healthcare's own kind of command center in Bradford Hospital, a dashboard where you can see the flow of patients, what's going on, where the barriers, where the bed's blocking the patients coming in, what's the discharge like. So you can actually now use real-time data, seeing what's happening across the hospital using a bit of AI technology. If you go to Abu Dhabi Ministry of Health, they have a big dashboard on their wall which shows the flow across the whole country, what's going on in all the 50 hospitals. And they can make quick decisions about how to manage the flow very quickly. Imagine operating theatre, making it more efficient, having a dashboard outside that allows to understand what's happening in those operating theatres. Robots are coming in. 2023 is the war of the robots. We're seeing many, many robots coming in, offering more precise surgery. And we're seeing now whether robots are tiny, small, doing plastic surgery, or other ones that are much smaller, more sleeker, more robust. We're now seeing these robots coming in. What robots will do gives more data about the performance during an operation, which can be extrapolated through outcomes. So using computer vision, data analytics will now hopefully be able to assess people's ability and outcomes much better. And I think that's important. These are two videos here. On the left is from 2000, year 2000, the first remote surgery done from New York to Paris, a gallbladder operation. The one on the right, 23 years later, is the first operation, the same operation, done using robots and 5G technology. It became much, much better, and using AI interfaces within the platform. So the world is moving. Remember, I talked about punctuated equilibrium. Things don't move, suddenly everything changes. This is that part of society as we know it. I just want to end by looking at medical education very quickly. I thought I'd end just by launching our new platform today here, Intelligent Health. Medical Realities is a VR company, around since 2016. But today is World Sepsis Day. I'm not sure many of you know that. 11 million people die every year due to sepsis, which you don't recognize clinically, you don't escalate, you avoid the complication. So we just launched this new platform across the world with the NHS to see whether we can improve the outcomes of sepsis.
Medical Realities, in collaboration with the Clatterbridge Cancer Centre NHS Trust, are proud to present Sepsis XR. Did you know that sepsis accounts for at least 11 million deaths worldwide annually, and is the cause of 1 in 5 deaths worldwide? Early recognition and treatment reduces deaths from sepsis by 50%, making it the #1 preventable cause of global mortality. Start sepsis healthcare training with our XR app. Learn how to identify the early signs of sepsis by engaging with interactive patient avatars and simulations.
Have you had a fever at all in the last few days?
It's been so hot with the heat wave, I haven't noticed.
Have you been eating normally after the operation?
I've had to change what I eat after the op. I thought that was normal.
Remote multi-user training simulations. measure, trace, and report using live sepsis screening tools. Learn, train, and perform with the Medical Realities XR platform.
So what we've created with that platform, not just VR, we put in ChatGPT or any LLM that you can have, including Google Palm. So you can choose the LLM that you decide. You can choose from over 150 languages. You can communicate with the avatar in different languages, either same language, or you can speak in English, they can return it in Spanish, for example. So we've taken that whole model of VR, added the AI interfaces, so it makes it universal. Those advantages, remember at the beginning I talked about collaboration and convergence? Let's use the technologies to enable us to improve access to healthcare, and of course, improve global education. Thank you very much.